Please. Okay, I'm going to give the mics. Are they mic'd up or going to get hand mics? Before I jump into my bunch of questions, why don't you take a minute each and talk about who you are, what you are you wearing any Bitcoin, Ethereum socks, underwear, anything? And let's start with that.
I'm wearing pink socks.
Closer.
I'm wearing pink socks. I'm not sure if that counts as a somewhat.
It's more purple than pink, but
okay. Okay.
Sure.
So my name is Indrajit. I run this online art auction platform called Prinseps. I see at least one familiar face in the audience. And we did an NFT auction last, quite a few months ago, and we are in the pipeline for more auctions of NFTs. So we're not doing drops, which is a sale, but we're doing auctions. That's our, we're focusing more, as of now, focus has been more on modern art, but we are slowly gravitating towards NFTs and the Web3 and the Metaverse and everything. Okay, that's what we're doing.
Awesome.
So my name is Shetty. I've been a lawyer and like a crypto trader for most of my life. I got into crypto back in like 2016. There was like a lot of stigma back then, and I've been in NFTs for more than a year now. I advise a lot of NFT projects, I broker a lot of deals, I do pretty much everything, headhunting or whatever that's needed in the NFT space possible. So there's this one thing that you guys should know about me. I absolutely know nothing about what cryptos and NFTs do. I usually just trade them. I have absolutely no idea what they do. I have no interest in learning about them. But things are working out well for me since I think.
That's great, man. Go for it. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to start this with you, Indrajit, which is the question that pretty much we've been discussing, and I think Hari put some light on it. How is Web3 exactly creating a platform for NFTs, for art and artists to be discovered? And I think a little bit of what Prinseps does is also take old analog art, right, which was created before Web3, Web2, Web1, anything existed, and then bring it up to speed and relevant to this current generation and ecosystem. So talk to us about what your experience has been about Web3 enabling that transformation.
Right, so there are two parts to this question. One is what we did, as you said, transform something that is very old into something very new, current. And the thinking behind that was the current Web3, I mean, you'll hear these names, CryptoPunks, of course, but on the board game clubs. These are all avatars, right? I mean, they're meant for using your social media handles, Twitter handles, they kind of show some sort of a personality trait or a physical trait. That's how they're built up, right? That's the whole theme. The point we wanted to make is that some of these experiments were done in the 1950s by artists who created very simple implementations of art, what can call primitive art, even though that had kind of a different definition. And they showed people with personality traits like joy, sadness, crying, mother and child. And so we just...
You're saying there were bored ape artwork in 1950s?
Absolutely. And so the genre is not new. The difference is that it was done on a piece of paper or canvas. Right. It wasn't digital art.
The medium was different.
The medium was completely different. So what we did is that we did an auction, in fact, in which we sold an avatar, one physical artwork, and then a unique edition NFT of the same. And I have a small anecdote. I got a call from somebody saying that, okay, how do I bid, how do I not bid, and all that. And then I asked this person, what do you collect and how old are you? He said he's 74 years old. So I said, okay, hey, the physical artwork is something you should look at. He said, Mr. Chandya, I only collect NFTs.
What?
So it was very surprising how many traditional collectors are buying NFTs these days. And of course, everything was sold out, needless to say.
That's heartening. I mean, the great thing is adoption is across the demographic spectrum. It's not like, okay, only folks in their 20s or 30s are into it. But
and it also is attracting newer collectors. So that is the difference between the physical space. If you're trying to collect modern art, it is a huge educational process. Whereas if you're trying to collect Web3 art, it is fun. So a lot of people are attracted to fun more easily than reading 30 books on something, and so therefore the adoption is much faster.
Sure, but the fun has some serious dollar bill attached to it. It's some very expensive fun.
Absolutely. So what
Are the valuations in your mind, I mean, what do you think of that?
You know, the valuations are there for a reason. You know, people who are plonking that sort of money, they have advisors. It's not like somebody saying, "Oh, I'm gonna, you know, sell something for $1 million," and that's it. There's advisors. There's the whole ecosystem. There's reasons why things sell for what they do. So
you think the valuation's fair?
the valuation in art, the valuation is based on what the collectors are willing to pay, based on what advisors are willing to advise them. But you see, this is a new movement that started. Why is CryptoPunks, why is Bored Ape Yacht Club so big, and why have the copycats not gone somewhere? Because they created something original, right? That is something a lot of people miss in the art world, is that, you know, an original Picasso costs a lot. You can copy a Picasso today, that's worth zero, right?
Right.
So they created new movements, and they were the first, adopters of this technology. So therefore, they have valuation bases, and this is what I'm talking about.
Shaunak, you essentially, help me understand this, you essentially help artists get into this world as well, right? In a way, I mean, you take care of all the legal mumbo jumbo and all the legal ramifications of all of this. Is that a correct sort of general way of saying what you do?
No, okay, so the law part is like my, fallback career. If nothing works out, like NFTs and crypto just go into a fad, like law is what I fall back onto.
Okay.
So what I basically do is like, if I happen to meet some artists who are doing really well, some phenomenal work, I will try to generate value using them, which is that, say if today in the crowd over here, I meet a few engineers who are building a really phenomenal product. I'm gonna make them introduced to these artists, so basically the kind of NFT projects I go for are like, they call themselves NFT projects, but they're really a tech company.
Okay.
So we're going to use that NFT as like the face of it, but on the back end we are building some kind of product which can actually have a lot of use case.
And so is that what you think the natural progression of NFT will be? Currently it's profile pictures, it's a lot of vanity, it's a lot of, who bagged what at how many $1 million. Do you think the natural progression of NFT as the ecosystem progresses and matures will be more robust back-end products?
No, so I do believe that this is always going to stay where people are going to appreciate art. People are going to just go behind art or like, the profile pictures. That crowd is going to stay. But then comes another side of the whole pie, which is like filled with finance people, filled with engineers who want some kind of value. They're looking for some kind of value that is generating. They don't just want a Twitter profile picture. They want something to back it up or something to appreciate. So like that, those are like the things that will grow much faster.
So can you give us an example of any of the current projects that you worked on, if you're at liberty to share that?
Okay, I'm going to kind of shill here.
Sure.
Shilling is basically like, being very, just selling my own stuff. So I've been working on this project for the last 6 months. We're based in Solana. It's called Royal Merch. What we're doing is, the target market that we're going for is like people from the finance background who keep asking for that intrinsic value question. So we're like, let's fix that question. Let's give them some kind of intrinsic value that they can also hold on to. But at the same time, we want to appeal to the other masses too. So we have phenomenal artwork. We have like a great project. So what we're doing is we're backing each of the NFTs with a physical product, which is going to be customized jewelry pendants. So the field of customized jewelry is really small. So what I'm doing is kind of like knots. We're kind of going into merchandising and building a physical business with it. But at the same time, on the face of it, you will have an NFT, and in case somebody is just done with it at any point, they can like redeem it and get like a physical product, which is going to be valued at the same price as what you paid for the NFT in general. But we're doing like a lot of economic models that are pretty new, which will be focusing on the floor price. A lot of people over here will not enjoy that. That we will be trying our best as a project, not only to create a business, but also to like make sure our initial investors are getting some kind of return from it.
Awesome. That sounds good. That sounds good. Not chilling at all. I'm glad, because an example just helps everyone understand it better. Indrajit, of course, it's a very, very new.
Can I just?
Yeah, you want to add something to that?
Disagree with.
About the intrinsic value?
No, about the fact that NFTs is just about self-portraits.
No. So that since I went into that because that's what he was talking about. There are like a range of types of NFTs. Could be profile picture NFTs, could be metaverse, could be games, could be utility tokens or utility NFTs are doing really well lately. And then comes in generative art and like just art in general.
So just on a broader level, I mean, you mentioned Web3 and you were asking around what is Web3. I mean, what does Web3 do? It lets you tokenize or lets you convert your creativity into an asset, right? And so people have sold, music, DJs, various, I mean, the possibilities are endless, but that's what Web3 is. I mean, anything that has an element of creativity can now be tokenized, can now be traded as an asset. And that is kind of the trade as an asset and maybe even loan and DeFi and all those blockchain thing. But it is far more greater and deeper than simple
Profile pictures. Yeah, no, absolutely. Didn't mean to be reductionist about it, but it's just that grabs most of the headlines and gets a lot of the coverage, etc. I know it's a very early ecosystem and very nascent, but in the Indian context, for example, Indrajit, do you foresee any challenges for artists? Of course, I think education and awareness is one big thing, right? There's a certain bit of skepticism, for example. What you don't know, you kind of fear or resist. What challenges do you see in the...
Challenges are regulatory. I mean, the laws aren't clear. I mean, and even if they are clear, then they've made trading a very difficult thing to do. And so how do people learn from their mistakes in collecting or increase their collections without constantly having to think about 30% tax or TDS or GST or what was what? I mean, that really is a problem. And so the artists, I mean, there are a lot of artists, they could really benefit from this whole universe, but what do you do? I mean, you've got to go to a company registered in Singapore or Dubai. I mean, that's 90% of the ecosystem here. I mean, that's a huge problem that needs to be addressed. Sorry, I'm not sure if I was...
The tax regime, yeah, the challenges, you're saying
the
that.
regulatory regime, the laws, they're confusing. I mean,
lack of clarity, yeah. Shona, you want to add to that?
So yeah, with the regulatory regime, we need a lot of clarification so far. Like I don't think even the government knows what exactly they're going for, because so with what they're saying right now with the 30% tax, that is completely fine. We in crypto, we would welcome it. Like take 30% and be out of our businesses. But the whole 1% TDS, the whole no setting off losses in different asset classes, that completely breaks things down for us. Like that last year, when I had to go file my taxes, I gave all my trading records to my CA quit. He literally was like, outsource it to some different country, I'm not doing this.
We have a bunch of CAs in the house, right? Yeah, and some people who didn't even finish their CA, but...
Yeah, so last year I had 11,000 trades, and if I had to pay 1% TDS...
11,000 trades?
Yeah, which I physically did.
That is shilling.
Yeah, so like, if I had to pay 1% TDS on each of those trades, I'd be done for, long back. And now with like the 1% TDS, like I don't know how Coinswitch and other players are going to operate, because what happens to liquidity providers, what happens to market makers, how will there be an order book functioning if they have to pay 1% TDS on it? Like either they have to be the exception for it.
Interesting. A lot of great questions, and everyone's figuring it out. I think all together, everyone's in the same boat. I want to ask about discovery, right? Web 2 or traditional media, so to say. I'm glad Hari and Gang are doing EDAW and things like that, but generally discovery of artists, of artwork, of music, of amazing creative forces it's been a pyramid, and discovery is very difficult. And the 1% talent really makes 90% or a disproportionate amount of wealth, fame, power, all of that. Do you think Web3 would be a panacea to all of that and democratize the process slightly more compared to how concentrated current systems are? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, so if you...
how do you think that would happen?
So it's very simple. If you were an artist today making a traditional artwork, you would have to have an exhibition history of at least 10 to 15 years, knock the doors of 50 galleries, get all the humiliation, and it would take you 30 years to succeed. We have a joke that if you want us to sell your physical art, you better be 100 years old, or at least 10 years after your obituary. So come to us then. But so with with the new form of art, I mean, if you think you have something great going, I mean, you have all these platforms where you can list your art right away, and then let the collectors decide. So that whole time span of entry barrier has been shrunk completely. Art, we should not forget that it's still about art. We still have to discover good art. And that will be the same even in the physical space. 99% of art that gets created will not be considered to be good art.
Right.
Similarly, in the NFT space, 99% of the art that gets created will not be considered good art.
Right.
But the discovery time has shrunk to like nothing.
And the social inequities that exist, they don't necessarily apply online because you could be anybody from anywhere.
Anybody from anywhere.
Yeah.
And you could have a collector base from anywhere as well. I mean, so sitting in some small town, you could be selling to some person you don't even know. I mean,
time to market.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. GTM is small. Okay. Anything else you folks want to add? Any other questions that the team has here?
So I'll add something to what he said.
Please.
About the 99% is not good art. So at least in the NFT like trading space, we have the saying that all NFTs are options. We have to sell them before they expire because they will expire as worthless.
Wow, that's a good one.
So that's where things have changed also. I mean, NFT, it's not just about art, it's also community. In a sense, it's about collector base, the community that you can actually count through, the number of followers in the Discord group.
Yeah.
And these are all Web3 related things, but very different.
Yeah. All right, does the audience have any questions? Because I'm done with mine. I know the little one's got a lot of questions. She's like,
We have to understand the
Yes, can we have the mic passed on to the lady here, please? Do we have a hand mic? I can just give mine. Yeah. Oh, you've got one. Perfect.
How do you define?
I don't think the mic's on. Hold on. Just take this. And if the question's for anyone particular, you can name.
So how do you define a quality NFT project besides rarity and good designs, a good community? What makes, say for example, CryptoPunks? They've marketed their collection. They always say that there's a story behind every NFT. So does that count? What are the factors that makes an NFT collection amazing?
That's a great question.
To anyone.
Both of you should take it.
Okay, so with the CryptoPunk thing, CryptoPunk has history attached to it. It's like one of the first ones. Like I used to trade CryptoPunks when they were for $10 and I sold out at 21.
Oh my god.
Some of the biggest mistakes of my life. But so at least when I, as an investor or as from someone from a finance background, we are looking into these projects, we look for things that are quantifiable. Like art, we don't know art. Like, we rely on other people who will know art and they'll tell us, okay, this art is really good and it's gonna work. But other things that we can quantify, it could be social media handles, it could be Discord, it could be how active the community is behind it, how strong the marketing team is do they have a product? There are a lot of things that we have to evaluate before we think that this project is going to do well. If it's going to do well, then another thing happens where a large group of investors will come in, secretly buy a good amount of supply, and then we will market it to our network and get it more social acceptance. Find if it's a product-based thing, then say I don't know, we'll approach Polygon. We're not going to tell them that we own a huge supply of it, but these are these things that are happening in the background.
Indrajit, anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult question you're asking. Basically, you're asking what succeeds and what's not. I mean, it is difficult to create a set of parameters in that. For every successful project that has had a good, you could say it's good art, good team, good Discord, good chatter. I mean, there are another 9 that have the same equal amount of quality, chatter, Discord, but haven't succeeded at all. Something has to catch the fancy of a collector base. That's how projects succeed. And it is not easy, it's not quantifiable. Yes, curators can claim that they can possibly weed out what's called the kitsch, the absolute crap from the universe. Sure, they can do that, but what will actually succeed commercially, is a very difficult question. It just happens. It's one day you wake up and suddenly, it happens.
Suddenly you have a people.
So if I get into projects, if I get into 10, one of them usually succeeds. Like even after doing all kinds of quantitative analysis on it, like putting a lot of effort into it, only maybe one succeeds.
So basically broad base yourself and buy as much as you can and see.
No, you have to diversify.
Yeah,
Crypto and NFT space, you have
Absolutely.
to diversify really hard. Like
Right. But is my question and the follow-on to that is the Angelina Menes, Rezas, the Hussains, they develop over years and decades, right? For the valuation that they draw today, it's taken them decades. Do you think analogous to NFTs is that kind of trajectory going to be followed, or is it very quick compared to?
No, obviously NFT, the ecosystem allows for quick price discovery. You hear some.
What about the longevity of those artists?
So even in the physical art space, artists that are known today may not have a commercial market in 10 years. There are always, some survive, some don't. So even in the NFT space, today we CryptoPunks, Bored Ape, such huge names, right? Will they be there in 10 years as desirable? We don't know that. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But again, it's a long-term thing. It's about a lot of collectors. It's about longevity. It's about curation. It's about people talking about them. It's a process. Price discovery is quick, yes, but longevity, I mean, you can't. It takes time.
I think we're too early to know answers to
We're
these
too early.
questions.
We're early.
We're too early. Awesome. Any more questions for Indrajit or Shona?
So I'll be a little specific to something I'm building, right? So it's essentially a platform where somebody like you can come together and get more capital with retailers and invest to right targeted NFTs, right? So you can diversify better. With limited capital, there's a problem. And for a collector, right, you can come together with more people to have more retail and create a gallery on the same platform. So something like this, do you see it working out where collective investments can solve for the barrier to liquidity, right, today in NFT? Like she mentioned punks, right? But if all of us in the room today decide to buy one punk, it might be possible.
Those are DAOs that are already there, right?
no, so you're basically fractionalizing it.
Yeah, in a way, it's a fractional ownership. You can form investment clubs or collector DAOs on the platform.
So a good example of that was one of the, I think the only known private copies of the US Constitution came to the market, and a DAO was created to
The Constitution DAO.
the Constitution DAO, and
By the
unfortunately,
first copy of.
that's right. But it was the underbidder, so those things already happening.
Yeah, but I'm saying if there's a platform where you can facilitate something like this, would that be helpful to
So
people?
basically what you're saying is you're building a platform where people can come in and make their DAO.
And yeah, and retailers can invest with somebody like you who has more alpha or understanding of the ecosystem. And it's a win-win for both of you because it's more capital for you to deploy and diversify, and it's no DOIR for them.
To be honest, that's like a really good idea. Like the only thing that matters is how you're implementing it. Like, ideas are dime a dozen, but like it's all about execution. So I wish you the
We'll take
best.
this offline.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to chill a bit because Coinswitch actually has been investing in some Web3 startups and projects. So if anybody has a great idea, feel free to get in touch with us. We've already made 3 investments so far here in India. So yay, awesome for that. All the best to everyone. Thank you Indrajit and thank you Shona for joining us for this discussion. Let's have a round of applause for them. Thank you. You can just leave the mics there. Yeah, and we've got some chill time now before we have the next session. I think about 30-40 minutes before the next session. So go around, feel free to talk to each other, and have fun. See you guys soon.
I'll connect with you.